Hello, everybody. It's Daniel here, and this is our next Emotional English podcast episode where we learn an English language effortlessly, emotionally, filled with energy, and of course, positively. Welcome, everybody. It's finally me right here, and I'm announcing the next Emotional English podcast episode where I'm reading the next part of our beautiful book, The Alchemist. And before I start, I want to say a couple of words about my previous experience, right? I had gone through a very bad scenarios, so I've got sick. Had got sick lately, and that is why I did have no podcast episodes uploaded. But today, I'm saying that I'm finally recovering greatly, and I'm ready to make a podcast episode today. For a couple more weeks, I had spent my time in the camp. It's the special camp for kids who got sick with cancer and then who got recovered from that disease. And then I was like a kids advisor there who was helping kids and making their life much more fun and interesting. And so I'm so sorry to be out of my podcast, to be out of my hobby, and to be out of my work. But finally, I'm ready to say that I'm finally back. And not so long time ago, I had my first Emotional English event in Moscow. I mean, it's not first, but it's not last for sure. But what I want to say that it was amazing. We had a pretty nice, gaming event because we had played many games, beautiful games for communication, for language learning, and for vocabulary revision as well. So today we do the same job. We read the next part of the Alchemist book. And to be honest, I really want to read more for you guys, and I will do it as more as I can. I don't want to say just a lot of words. I just want to say that my upcoming event from the 22nd of December, I moved to February 23rd in Krasnodar. And the two more events are coming in 2024. It's the January 25th in Moscow during the evening. And another date is February 10th. In Moscow as well. So I'm going to this camp again, and in the beginning of my experience and in the end, I'm planning to have these two beautiful Emotional English clubs. So that's all for my news. That's all for my ideas, what I wanted to say at first. But now let's dive in. We had read some great parts of The Alchemist, the part 1. And we discussed that there was a boy, right? His name was Santiago. He had a flock of beautiful sheep, right? He spent some time with their sheep. And now we finished at the schedule, right? So that it was he who had became accustomed to their schedule. Yeah, so they had spent the night somewhere, and the boy, he was thinking about sheep and about himself, about the schedule. And I want to continue this reading for you guys, and I already see the next part, what I'm going to read for today. So I'm going to read the second part of this chapter, step by step, paragraph by paragraph. And if I see something interesting, something new, or something not understandable, I'm trying to reread this part and be more concentrated. I will announce the new vocab, we'll discuss it, I will simplify the text for you guys, and I'll make this text more understandable in English. And I hope you would love it. And we can start, isn't it? So let's begin. But there were certain of them who took a bit longer to awaken. And in this part, the guy is still in that place when he spent his night. And there were certain of sheep who took a bit longer to awaken. And the boy prodded them one by one with his crook, calling each by name. He had always believed that the sheep were able to understand what he said. So there were times when he read them parts of his books that had made an impression on him, or when he would tell them of the loneliness or the happiness of a shepherd in the fields. Sometimes he would comment to them on the things he had seen in the villages they passed. That's the end of the first paragraph of this part today. And the first word, what I see here is prodded. Prodded. So the boy prodded them. The boy prodded the sheep, right? So what is prodded, you can say. So without checking in the meaning section, so I want to say that it feels like awakening, right? So he was prodding, he was awakening, and yeah, it's very close. So he was poking with his crook. It's like touching, right? Prodding, touching, and poking with the crook. Crook, it's the thing which is pretty big, and the crook is more like a little stick. And in the end of this stick, if I'm not mistaken, there is like a hook, in the end. But hook is very small. Crook is bigger, and it's more effective when you touch something bigger. So, and the boy, he was awakening their sheep. He was prodding the sheep, and one by one, not just all of these sheep at once. No, one by one with his crook, prodding, touching and poking the sheep, calling each sheep by name. And he had always believed that the sheep were able to understand what he said. So they've got a pretty deep connection between sheep and him. He got, right? So there were times when he read them parts of his books that had made an impression on him, or when he would tell them of the loneliness or the happiness or a shepherd in the fields. Sometimes he would comment to them on the things he had seen in the villages they passed. Yeah, so if I want to say this part in a very fast track, so I would say that the guy is just saying that he was very, very close with these sheeps. He was very connected with them. So when he got some impression, or when he got something interesting from their books or from his books, he was ready to share this knowledge or his emotions with his sheep and with his flock. And they've got a very good connection, right? And when he had some emotions related to his traveling or related to the villages they had passed, so he was ready to share the emotions with the whole flock. Okay, that was the first paragraph. And we discussed the part about prodded. Prodded, it's the same as touching, poking, and the crook. It's a very big hook, and probably the crook is on the staff, or it's like the big stick. He's using, all these shepherds, they use this big stick just to control the flock, and the crook is in the end. So it's just very handy. You can put the lamp on the top of it, right? You can handle something there, right? I think it makes sense why there is a crook and not something else. But for the past few days, he had spoken to them about only one thing: the girl, the daughter of a merchant who lived in the village they would reach in about 4 days. He had been to the village only once the year before. The merchant was the proprietor of a dry goods shop, and he always demanded that the sheep be sheared in his presence so that he would not be cheated. A friend had told the boy about the shop, and he had taken his sheep there. Okay, this is the end of the second paragraph. So let's go step by step, and I'll comment each sentence right now. But for the past few days, he had spoken to them about only one thing. So he had been speaking with his flock and with his sheep about one important thing for himself. It was the girl. So he was thinking of the girl. He had been thinking of the girl, the daughter of a merchant. The merchant, it's a person who is like a seller, but from the, let's say, medieval times, right? Medieval, it's the time of knights and shields and swords and kings and queens. The merchant is selling goods and buying items, selling items. It's a merchant, the person who is like a seller nowadays. So a merchant probably is the owner of the shop as well. So a merchant who lived, so there was a girl, the daughter of the merchant who lived in the village. They would reach in about 4 days. So they're going to the special village, to the special place, and there is a girl. This girl is the daughter of a merchant who lived in that village. So he had been to the village only one time the year before. And the merchant was the proprietor of dry goods shop. So that's a good, beautiful word, proprietor. In my case, what I think of this word, it could be just the owner or somebody like this. And it is the owner indeed, the owner of a business or holder of a property, right? So he had a property. It's his shop, right? I guess it is true. So this merchant was the proprietor, the owner, the businessman, or the guy who controls the dry goods shop. Dry goods, it's all goods which are not wet. It's an opposite of wet things. Dry goods shop, probably something like, all right, I don't know what to say here. It's not water for sure. It's the completely opposite things of water. And probably it could be some food, probably, right? Or it could be some goods of some stuff for their home or something. Let's double check. Maybe there is a special meaning of the dry shop. Maybe I'm misconnecting it. Meaning, yeah, the dry goods shop. Yeah, actually, yes, there is. It's pretty popular naming for the 1800s, right? Hundreds and thousands of dry goods, wholesaling stores and retail stores in America, engaging over 1 million people in the industry of dry good trades. Yeah, and like I said, it could be a historical term for British Empire as well. Yeah, across the British Empire for sure. But usage, what is the usage? Textiles, ready-to-wear clothing. Okay, I was kind of not correct there. So yes, it was not food. It was just a clothing store, right? Dry goods. Yeah, interesting fact, by the way. Dry goods store, yes. It's not all at all. So there was a beautiful... where am I? Sorry, guys. Right. So the proprietor, right, a dry goods shop, and he always demanded that the sheep be sheared in his presence. So this guy, the owner of the dry goods shop, is always demanded. Demand means want so much. He wanted that the sheep be sheared in his presence. So he wanted to see how someone is shearing the sheep, right? Because he wanted to know for sure the quality of the fur, and he wanted to check the whole process. So that would not be cheated. And he didn't like the cheating in general. Cheating, it's like when you are lying and making a bad action related to another person. So a friend had told the boy about the shop, and he had taken his sheep there. Yes. So a friend had told the boy about that guy, about that proprietor, and he had taken his sheep there. That's actually the story, how the boy had met the girl and how he is going to that place one more time, and he's gonna be there in 4 days. All right. And next is coming the discussion between boy and this beautiful girl. Let's dive in, shall we? I need to sell some wool, the boy told the merchant. Oh, it's not between the girl and the boy. It's just the starter with the merchant. I need to sell some wool, the boy told the merchant. The shop was busy, and the man asked the shepherd to wait until the afternoon. So the boy sat on the steps of the shop and took a book from his bag. I didn't know shepherds knew how to read, said a girl's voice behind him. The girl was typical of the region of Andalusia. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. With flowing black hair and eyes that vaguely recalled the Moorish conquerors. Oh, what a beautiful description. So, let's begin from that part. So they started a discussion with a merchant, right? So, and the merchant said that the shop was very busy, and the man asked Shepherd to wait until the afternoon. So, and the boy, he was just waiting on the steps of the shop, right? He took a book, he started probably the reading, and the girl started the conversation. I didn't know, she said. Shepherds knew how to read, said the girl. And the girl stood behind the shepherd. The girl was typical of the region of Andalusia, with flowing black hair. Flowing black hair. What a beautiful description. And let's discuss what does it mean, shall we? I guess it's pretty fair to describe it. I guess it is. So flowing, it's the case of long hair, right? And it's kind of beautiful, probably, right? It's very sleek, smooth hair, that's a flowing hair. It's like with a flow, the word flow. I think that's pretty connected. These beautiful hair were flowing and black, and the eyes of the girl vaguely recalled the Moorish conquerors. Yeah, what does it mean? Vaguely. It's another good word we see here, vocab. It means slightly. It means a little bit, or a little, or a bit. So vaguely recalled, it means you see some similarities from Moorish conquerors. Who are Moorish conquerors? That's a pretty good question. Let me see and ask Dr. Google about that. So Moorish conquerors is the guys from Cordoba. It's pretty long historical part, probably. The Moors. Moors, it's like the group. It's a Christian Europeans to designate the Muslim population of Maghreb, Isle Andalus, Iberian Peninsula. Yeah. Sicily. All right. Or Malta. Okay. It's a middle-aged Malta group. Okay. Christian Europeans. Pretty good. So as you know, the place of Malta right now, probably that's the place related to that. And there were like Moorish conquerors like this. Probably they were like these knights, beautiful knights with a red cross on their shields. Well, the girl was pretty beautiful, what they tried to say. Flowing, black hair, just amazing, straight, long, nice and neat black hair. And vaguely, and her eyes vaguely, just a little bit recalled the Moorish conquerors. I don't know how can you say that, but probably you can. Well, usually I learn more from sheep than from books. The the guy answered. He answered. During the 2 hours that they talked, she told him she was the merchant's daughter and spoke of life in the village where each day was like all the others. The shepherd told her of the Andalusian countryside and related the news from the other towns where he had stopped. It was a pleasant change from talking to his sheep. How did you learn to read? The girl asked at one point. Like everybody learns, he said, in school. Well, if you know how to read, why are you just a shepherd? Okay, let's discuss this part first, okay? So they had a little discussion, right? They had been talking for about 2 hours, right? And during the 2 hours, they talked. She told him who she was, or something that like this. And she was the merchant's daughter, and they spoke of life in the village, where each day were like all the others, right? And the shepherd told her this Andalusian countryside lifestyle, and got some news for her, told some news. From other towns, right? Because she lived only in one small place, and he kind of traveled from one place to another. It was a pleasant change from talking to his sheep, he said as well. So he's more a guy who is speaking with his sheep instead of people, as I understand. So how did you learn to read? The girl asked at the one point. Like everybody learns, he said, in school. And if you know how to read, why are you just a shepherd? So this is a little bit, conflicty, I would say. This is a little bit bogus to say like this, like, oh, you can read. Why are you just a shepherd, right? Maybe that time a shepherd was the useless profession, but I think it's a pretty good, vibe people have who are just shepherds. They're free and they have no stress at all. Only this connection with sheep, with their flock, and beautiful life full of freedom, like a wind, like a wind. So that's true. And the boy mumbled an answer on that question because the girl, she asked, well, if you know how to read, why are you just a shepherd? And the boy not just answered, he mumbled an answer like this, mumbled an answer. And mumbling, this process is when you are very quiet, right? You can call it as a synonym as muttering, right? So when you say something very, very quiet and people can't hear what you're saying, and the boy mumbling, he was mumbling an answer that allowed him to avoid responding to her question. So he didn't answer this question. He was just blah, 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 said something, and he was sure the girl would never understand why that all things happening, right? He went on telling stories about his travels, and her bright Moorish eyes went wide with fear and surprise. As the time passed, the boy found himself wishing that the day would never end, that her father would stay busy and keep him waiting for 3 days. He recognized that he was feeling something he had never experienced before, the desire to live in one place forever, with the girl, with the raven hair. His days would never be the same again. But finally, the merchant appeared and asked the boy to shear 4 sheep. And he paid for the wool and asked the shepherd to come back the following year. And actually, that was like the introduction. That was the story. That's why we see a lot of past perfect tense here. Had, said, or whatever. So we can see a lot of perfect tense here about the past. he's kind of sharing this important story with us, and we're very concentrated here. Yes. So that was the introduction for that connection between boy and the girl. They had met before, and they had met before in these beautiful circumstances when they had a beautiful discussion for 2 hours. And she said that she's a merchant's daughter, and they spoke of life. She said that she has a very boring life, but the guy said that he's great. He had been traveling pretty much a lot, and they had a nice socializing finished. And then she asked a very bogus question. So you can read, why do you have a terrible profession owner? He was just a shepherd, right? And the shepherd who could read, right? And this was kind of bogus to ask. But anyway, so he avoided this question, why you are the shepherd. He just mumbled something like this, mumbling. And then that moment, the boy realized that girl was that beautiful. The raven hair girl was amazing. And probably I want to double check what this raven means in this case scenario. Classically, raven is, if I'm not mistaken, it's type of bird, right? Raven, night raven or something. And the meaning is pretty simple. Raven hair, it means very black hair, super black, lustrous black, right? Very black and lustrous. Yeah, I think it's pretty clear to be said here. And finally, the merchant appeared, and he asked the boy to share 4 sheep, exactly 4. And he paid well for the wool of these sheep. And he asked the shepherd to come back the following year, next year. And the next upcoming event is actually the story which goes to the next steps of that journey. And to be honest, it's already more than 27 minutes of our podcast episode. And I'll ready to continue our reading later on next episode. I'm really excited to say thank you all, guys, for your support. You can always go to emotionalenglish.ru to check our latest episodes of our podcast, or you can check all the resources you use for listening this information, or you can check on emotionalenglish.ru the information of when and where is the upcoming event is taking place. So just let me know if you have any questions. Send me your message to my Telegram or WhatsApp or any other messenger. Just let me know what you think about our podcast episodes. Let me know what topics you're interested in. I know that you guys, most of you guys, interested in the personal development topics, and I promise you I will publish more of these. And thank you all to being with us today. I'll stay in touch, and next time we'll go to the part number 3 of The Alchemist first chapter, and we'll continue reading and discussing the beautiful story of The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. Thank you all, guys, and I hug you all, and don't forget to teach, or not teach, it's me who is teaching, to learn English as more as you can. Listen at least 1 hour a day of English language to be very successful with your practice. Thank you so much, and I see you very soon. Bye-bye.